the classic case of anti-Semitism on a scale of the masses. Whereas with Yaakov Avinu, we dealt with anti-Semitism on the individual Jew. Shmos deals with anti-Semitism on the level of the masses. The Jews find themselves in Mitzrayim, and the children of Israel, Paru vayishvatzu vayirbu vayasmu bimod ma'od, they were having 6 children at one time, and what was so interesting about this is that, of course, in Muncie they're not impressed. 6 children at one time. That was, if some of the people figure, it's probably because of the fact that they were in slavery. That's why they were limited to 6 children at one time. At any rate, we were talking about the fact that the Jews find themselves in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. Vayokom melech chadosh al Mitzrayim, and Rashi makes the classic comment that Rav and Shmuel have an argument. Chad omar chodesh mamish. One says it was a new king, literally. Chad omar shenischatshu b'gzeirosav, and one says it was not a new king, but it was a "what have you done for me lately" king. He says he doesn't remember Yosef, he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know. These are famous Rashis that most people know. But the classic case of anti-Semitism comes up when the Ramban talks about this. This Melech Chadosh al Mitzrayim, this new king that didn't know Yosef. Vayomer Amohine Am Bnei Yisrael Rav Yatsu Mimeni. The Jews are Rav Yatsu Mimenu, too strong and too many for us. Hava Nischak Malo. Let us make ourselves wise. Pen Yirbeb, unless they will become many. V'hoya ki sikreno milchama v'nosav gamhu al soneinu. And when war will happen, they will join our enemies, the Bolsheviks, to allude to a period in history rather than a time of Mitzrayim. V'nilcham banu, and they will make war with us. V'olam min haaretz. So they came together. Hava nischak malo. Let us be wise with this. They came together with a decision of what to do, what was going to be the final solution to the Jewish question. Hava nischak malo was not only said by Pharaoh, it was said in 1942 in the Wannsee Conference. You know what the Wannsee Conference was? Wannsee was a suburb of Berlin, or is a suburb of Berlin, and the top Nazis met there and decided what to do, and they came up with the final solution to the Jewish question. Up until 1942, Adolf Hitler was more than willing to send the Jews out. He made a test case with the St. Louis in 1939, which was a ship that people had passports. 900 Jews had passports to Cuba. The Cuban government didn't recognize the passports, and they were forced to leave. People committed suicide, a number of them, on the boat because they knew there was nowhere to go back to. When they went back, when they were forced to go back to Europe, the Jews in Collins Avenue in Miami were having a nice time in '39, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt was so worried that these Jews would come into the Florida that he sent a Coast Guard cutter that threatened to sink the ship if it came within a 3-mile limit. It's amazing when you think about how many derelict people across the border today, illegal immigration in Mexico and in so many places, and we just look the other way, or we don't care one way or another. And the most incredible thing happens with Pharaoh, or the most incredible thing happens rather with it's interesting. Franklin and Pharaoh start with the same letter. It's so interesting that Franklin Delano Roosevelt took these Jews that could have contributed so much to society and cast them off, rejected them, and did not allow them to come in, and many of them died. So this whole idea of Pharaoh getting together and say, what are we going to do? The Jews are becoming many, is not a new story. It happened. Well, actually, it was the initial story on the masses, but it happened many times in history, and it happened here It happened in 1939, the final solution to the Jewish question. And it happened once before. It happened earlier than that in the 1880s with Podbiodanetsev, who was a Russian. The Tsar was assassinated, and they came up with the one-third laws. That's how most Eastern European Jews got to America. It must have been 100,000 Jews in America, 150,000 before 1881. And when Tsar Alexander was assassinated in 1881, the Jews were blamed, and Podbiodanetsev came up with the one-third laws. The May laws are one-third laws. One-third of the Jews would die of hunger, one-third of the Jews would convert to Christianity, and one-third of the Jews would leave the country. That one-third that left pushed the numbers in America from 150,000 in 1881 until to over 2 million in 1922, when the National Oranges Bill effectively cut off the immigration. And these are all cases of Hava Nischak Malo, come let us be wise with it. It happened with Podbiodanetsev in 1880, it happened with the Germans in 1942. Up until that time, the Germans in 42 were more than willing to allow the Jews to leave. As a matter of fact, I met with a few people, Yitzhak Ben Ami and others, who actually met with Eichmann, and Eichmann stuffed actual tickets into his hands and said, "Get these people out of here," and they wouldn't leave. So the Germans saw that the rest of the world, nobody wanted the Jews. So then in 1942 they said, "Listen, we can't get rid of them that way. We're going to decide we're going to use the concentration camps to kill them." Hava Nischak Malo, come let us be wise to it. All involved in what Pharaoh says to his people. This is the initial series, basic concept of anti-Semitism against the Jews. And the Ramban comments incredibly interestingly here. The Ramban says the following: Hava Nischak Malo. You with me, people? Let us be wise to it. The Ramban comments, he says, Lo Pharaoh b'chachma yoatzav lahakosam b'cherev. Pharaoh did not order murder of the Jews, just as Hitler initially didn't order murder of the Jews. Kisiya begigda gedola lahakos chinam ha'om asher bo be'aretz b'mitzvah samelech harishon. Because this would cause an incredible rebellion against for the cold-blooded murder for no reason of the people that came to Egypt on the invitation of the king. V'gam am haaretz lo yitnu reshus lamelech lasos chomos kozeh ki imom hu misyayitz. And even the masses of people would not let the king act so violently. We see that from the fact that he spoke to them, and he said, "Listen, what are we going to do about this situation?" So Pharaoh, interestingly enough, Pharaoh was worried about public opinion. That's what the Ramban is saying. He had to worry about public opinion. It wasn't just a matter of taking his sword, and it's a very realistic. If you have any questions or comments or insights, please speak up.